And there it is. And overall, there was quite a chasm between these two teams.
Yeah, one in the first half. It was a poor second half.
Yeah, dull.
Ecuador managed it really well. There was no way that Qatar were getting back into the game. They kept the ball when they had to without being too much of a threat themselves. And yeah, it was very flat, wasn't it, the second half? Even the crowd disappeared just after half-time, didn't they?
They did a lot of them, yeah. A lot of empty seats. They avoided embarrassment, I suppose, is the thing to say in the second half, Qatar.
I think that was down to Ecuador, actually, not coming out and just really not exerting themselves.
Maybe thinking about,
I think the disappointing thing with Qatar is even when they did manage to get any kind of possession, they were so sloppy with it and gave it away and wasn't sure what to do. And you think it's potentially a long week and a long group stage for them.
It could be, and a short tournament.
Yeah.
Possibly. There's just a real gulf between the quality of the players on either side, really, and ultimately that's what it comes down to, football, isn't it?
Yeah, I think that you know, Qatar, they couldn't get themselves into it. They couldn't really build anything. They couldn't get out of their own half at times. Ecuador was set really well for the press and to win it back. It kind of turned, especially second half, it turned into a bit of a training exercise for Ecuador. I think that they. It was wise the way they played it. They probably conserved some energy for the difficult games that they've got left in the group stage. Yeah. But it was, as Alan said, it was a flat second half, but Ecuador professionally got the job done.
Yeah, let's run ourselves through the key moments in the game. And the first one, of course, came very early. Yeah.
Actually, the fans.
Completely in the dark.
There was nothing at all, and as I said, there was no information given. Okay by the letter of the law.
Possibly.
It was
baffling, I think, was the thing. Valencia, though, didn't have to wait too much longer for his first goal of the tournament, and it came from a penalty. And
maybe, but what he did do that that I seen today that he did do in training, he'd always be in between defenders, so always be in between a full-back and a centre-back. Always being between the two centre-backs. He did it the whole 90 minutes today, and it's very clever forward play, and it's difficult as a centre-back when you always got to check to see where the striker is. He was never marked today. He was always picking up those pockets. Estrada would just play in behind the Qatar midfield, and then, as we've seen on the penalty goal, with a good pass and release, Valencia was stretching them.
There's a perfect example of that in the second goal, wasn't there?
Yeah, it was, and it's exactly. I mean, the cross into the box was just fantastic. Casoda does really well in winning the ball and then driving.
Any kind of risk, they would have took him off today anyway. And they do have a few days now to manage whatever the problem might be. But I think, on the basis of today, they're a very good team, very strong team. But playing against Senegal and Netherlands, they're going to need him at full fitness to do what he did today.
That'll be a different proposition, Alex.
Oh, they absolutely will. Their movement off the ball, how quickly they move it, it's about being organised, but they're going to be good games to watch.
Yeah, certainly are. What gave them apart from obviously better footballers, what gave them the edge?
When you're playing against poor opposition, and that's what Qatar were this evening, you've got to move the ball quickly, including when you win the ball back off them or when it's a poor pass of them. Your first thought has to be, can I play that ball quickly? And that's what Ecuador did.
Break the lines.
Pass it forward, there you go. And all of a sudden, you're in behind, because the turnover of possession is really key, and moving it really quickly. And players of this opposition, they can't deal with that if you do it as quick as what Ecuador did tonight. And that caused a lot of the problems for Qatar when they did that. You've got to have willing runners in behind. You've got to have someone or people who are good on the ball and can pass like that. He spots the space straight away. There you go. That's what I meant. The turnover of possession straight away. First thought forward into them, into the back five as it were. And yeah, that's what won them a game essentially.
Do you know what, all those clips that you're just talking about there, Al, and what we've just shown, it's the movement off the ball. Every Qatar player there is ball watching. As soon as the ball goes forward, they don't even know who's running off their shoulder and where they are. They're just ball watching the whole time. And you think when they play against the Netherlands and Senegal and their movement,
makes it a lot easier, doesn't it? if you don't. I think overall Qatar had 3 touches in the opposition's box in the game, but they all led to kind of half chance level.
And they've got work to do, because, as we've said, they're coming up against tougher opposition.
Not one effort on target and 3 touches in the box. No. Nowhere near good enough.
We've got a contender already. I mean, we love a bit of a roll-up, don't we? Not that kind of roll-up. An injury one in a World Cup. Sorry about that, just for a minute. But let's... this is early contender. We've counted 4.5 rolls for this one from Afif. Maybe 5. I think it's 4. Oh, there he goes, another one. Just half a roll. This was Neymar, of course.
1, 2, 3.
Oh, that probably...
Oi.
I think he might have just picked Neymar. So
6-5, isn't it?
Early contender for the Roldan boot. Sorry, that's awful. Alan, you mentioned the empty seats. They're obviously very empty now. Everyone's gone home, but it seemed full at the start of the game, full. And then at half-time, we thought... you said straight away, you said, a lot of empty seats. And we thought it was perhaps one of those things where they come back from the corporate things, but...
Yeah, this is an hour into the game, Gary, and there were so many and so many leaving. In fact,
disappointment with their team, I imagine. It must have been
at half time as well. They just never came back into the stadium. Certainly not in the numbers that were there at the ahead of the game. So rather surprising.
It really didn't help how flat the second half was, and nothing really entertaining or exciting to even keep them.
Well, we're doing our best with it, but I'll give you